A week and Mr. Chidambaram has clearly sent the signal across that he means business. Yesterday he addressed a press conference where he has admitted to the obvious concerns and assured global investors and local business houses that he will do whatever it takes to repair the broken down economy. So let's understand the message and the motivation, or I would say intention, behind yesterday's press conference with Swaminathan Ankleshwar Iyer, consulting editor with ET Now. Swami, good morning. Thank you for joining us. How do you read into comments made by P. Chidambaram? Do you think this is just an attempt at talking the markets up?
Look, he's definitely trying to produce words of comfort for investors, for economists, for the public. That is his job as a politician. He has taken over. But has he backed these expressions of noble intent with any real specifics? Alas, no. There's nothing specific. If after all this time, once again he says one more panel to be appointed on fiscal consolidation, you have to throw up your hands and say, how many panels do we need? We know how to do it. To say that I will review retrospective taxation to be sure it is fair. I mean, these are words of comfort, completely steering clear of specifics.
Swami, hi, morning. So specifically on retro tax, how easy is it going to be for the government to be, to go back on this?
No. If you see, there's a difference between putting down a law and then having the rules for the implementation. The rules for the implementation, even of a particular provision, can be done in such a way that there would only be very occasional or rare resort to that kind of law, and that I think would then become acceptable. So yes, it is possible for him to make the rules more investor friendly. That is possible. It's not ruled out. I mean, he will not require a change in the legislation for that.
Swami, but is this a game-changing move, and do you think this for sure will mend and repair the global investor sentiment?
According to me, absolutely not. Because whatever has happened on the taxation law is only one of dozens of examples where the government keeps fiddling around with retrospective effect. I mean, forget this particular tax law. What happened in the case of Cairn? Here you had a case of Cairn was wanting to sell to Vedanta. It should have been straightforward. But the government says, I don't like the particular clause we had on ONGC bearing the royalty, so we changed it. That is a clear case of changing a contract with retrospective effect. A similar thing happened in the case of Reliance, in the case of the gas. So I'm afraid we have a government which is used to constantly fiddling around and making retrospective changes so often that let's not pretend that Pranab Mukherjee's budget provision was the first time it happened, or that it somehow changed India's direction in this particular regard. I'm afraid in India we have always been having politicians who do take recourse to retrospective action. So whether or not you can fix this little thing Chidambaram is handling it, I'm afraid it cannot change India's total image.
Swami, what about the comments on fiscal consolidation? Because Chidambaram has constituted a new panel to look into a roadmap for fiscal consolidation. Do you think the government will actually go beyond talk on fiscal consolidation at all?
You see, Chidambaram is caught in a terrible bind. Fiscal consolidation was needed, if you like, 12 months ago, 6 months ago. But when you have a drought in fact is not the normal time when you have fiscal consolidation at all. When you have a drought, the economy slows down, your revenue falls, and your spending on various things, including the drought measures, goes up. And this is normally regarded as an appropriate so-called automatic stabilizer, that when growth slows down, automatically the fiscal deficit goes up to produce a stimulus. That is the norm. So we have the thing that, just as Chidambaram was wanting to get his act together saying fiscal consolidation is the need of the hour, somebody else will say no, automatic stabilizers are the need of the hour. We need to go easy on the fiscal side.
What about subsidy targets? The fact that this year we have a drought-like situation, do you think it will be impossible for the finance minister to cap the subsidies at 2% of the GDP?
I have a strong feeling that we will exceed that particular target. On the petroleum side, there has been no attempt to rein in the prices. No increase in diesel, they are losing up to 11 rupees a litre on diesel. No capping kerosene, no capping LPG. So I see a huge overrun on that particular account. I think you might well exceed it on the case of fertilizer as well. Maybe in the case of food. For employment, you might have to spend very substantially more. On all these counts, therefore, I would say the prospects are not good. The prospects are for exceeding the budget accounts on spending, while your revenue, I think, will be much less than anticipated. So the combined impact of those two looks to me a widening of the fiscal deficit rather than a shrinkage.
Swami Chidambaram has also said that fiscal and monetary policy need to be aligned and moved, in the same direction. How do you interpret that statement? And does it mean he's acknowledging that the government needs to do its bit before the RBI cuts rates?
No, look, people have been shouting from the rooftops. Any analyst, any economist, any TV anchor can see that, you cannot have a situation where the RBI is trying to curb inflation by raising interest rates, but the finance ministry then goes to a larger and larger fiscal deficit. Those two things are going in the opposite direction. If you want to curb inflation, you do need to have toughness both on the fiscal side and the monetary side. People have been saying this now for months and months and months. So when Chidambaram says this, he is echoing the standard conventional wisdom. It is of course true, it should go in this direction. However, he is completely silent on the dilemma facing him, that in a drought year, it may not go in the same direction. Is he going to be in a situation that in the middle of a drought year, when there is a need to increase government spending, that he's suddenly going to shrink it? Will Sonia Gandhi agree? What will be the political repercussions? What will happen in the case of an early election? So it's all very well to lay down. We all know that both monetary and fiscal policy should be aligned. However, you face a dilemma today where what the economists might suggest on an investor-friendly basis may not gel with what you might require in terms of wooing the electorate before a coming election. Between those two, is it more important to keep the investor happy or the electorate happy? If you ask me, the chances are they will go for the first option.
So, Swami, what is the sum and substance of yesterday's press conference?
The fact that he has chosen to make a statement of this kind without specifics, to me suggests that this is just his way of trying to talk up the market. It's his way of trying to say, without any real medicine, let me assure people that I'm going to try to cure the economy. Well, it's okay. Politically, this is the kind of thing a new finance minister can do. But he needs to back this up with specifics. We have had too many statements of good intent now for years and years and years, and this government has truly lost credibility. So we don't really need any more statements saying, I'm going to fix this, I'm going to fix this, I am desperately going to look into this, I'm going to appoint a committee into this. I think we've had enough of this. We need to get strong, specific action. On the basis of this speech alone, I do not think it's possible to talk up the economy. It is not possible to remove any of the unease of investors on the market.
Okay, Swami, always good to have you on the show with your take on what the finance minister is going to do and whether or not he's going to deliver on expected lines. Quick break on that note while it's turning out